Today we're going to be learning about adding and subtracting like fractions. I'm going to go to page 284 where it says fractions that have the same denominators are called like fractions. And we're going to start by doing the examples. Like fractions have the same denominators, which means the bottom number of them are the same. Bottom numbers are the same. So page 284, P284, example number 1 says 5/9 plus 2/9. I want you to get in the habit of rewriting your fraction problems vertically instead of horizontally. So we're going to rewrite that as 5/9 plus 2/9. Notice how the bottom numbers of these fractions are the same. That's because they are like fractions. And I can go ahead and add these fractions together by just adding the top numbers, just adding the numerators. 5 plus 2 is 7, and the denominator doesn't change. The 9 stays the same. So my answer is 7/9. So 5/9 plus 2/9 equals 7/9. Example 2 says negative 3/5 plus a negative 1/5. Here we have those nasty negative signs coming back to us. We're going to follow the exact same rules that we did with our integers now that we're doing fractions. So first thing that you should see is right there we have a double sign. You want to mark off a positive negative, and what does a positive negative become? That's right, it becomes a negative. But when I rewrite my problem, like in example 1, I'm going to write it as negative 3/5 over top of negative 1/5. So the positive negative became a negative, and I write it vertically. What was the rule that we had for same signs? Because with negative 3/5 and negative 1/5, I have same signs. That's right, we're going to add them. So I'm going to add the 3 and the 1 together and get a 4. The 5's not going to change. And when we have same signs and add, we keep the sign. So the answer is negative 4/5. Now go ahead and try problems A through D on your own. We will go over those a little bit in class. All right, let's take a look at page 285 at example 3. It says, Sophia ate 3/5 of a cheese pizza. Jack ate 1/5 of a cheese pizza and 2/5 of a pepperoni pizza. How much pizza did Sophia and Jack eat all together? Well, we can add up together 3/5 plus 1/5 plus 2/5. And again, I want you to get in the habit of writing these down vertically. You don't really need to on this type of problem where you have a common denominator, but when we go to problems where they're not common denominators, we are going to need to write them vertically. So just get yourself in the habit now. And we're going to add up the numerators because the denominators are all the same. So 3 plus 1 plus 2 equals 6. The bottom number does not change. It stays a 5. But wait a minute. Look at 6/5. What's wrong with that picture to you? Hopefully you just said, hey, the top number is bigger than the bottom number. That fraction is improper. You may not leave your fractions improper when you give me an answer, unless I specifically tell you to. So we need to change that to a mixed number by dividing the 5 into the 6, which goes 1 time. 1 times 5 is 5. We subtract that from 6, and we have 1 left over. that we put back over 5. So my answer is they ate 1 1/5 pizzas. Go ahead and do letter E on your own, and we will go over it a little bit later in class. Example number 4 on 285. Says -5/8 minus 3/8. And again, I would like you to rewrite this vertically. -5/8, -3/8. When you take a look at those numbers, do they have same signs or different signs? Okay, same signs mean we're going to add them. So I'm going to add -5 with -3, and that should give me -8. The denominator is going to stay the same, so that is also going to be an 8. Well, again, that is not a typical proper fraction. It's not exactly an improper fraction either. What does -8/8 equal? It equals not 1, but -1, because in division, different signs, because that's negative, that's positive, different signs give you a negative answer. So our answer here is -1. Example 5 says 5/8 minus 7/8. Again, rewrite the problem vertically. 5/8 is positive, -7/8. Do I have same signs or different signs? Different signs mean I subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2, but hey, the negative sign was down here with the bigger looking number, so that's going to be -2/8. And you think you might be done, but when you take a look at it again, you notice that both of those numbers are even. We have to simplify fractions. If you don't simplify fractions, you're going to get the answer wrong. And some of you made this error on the last checkup, and it cost you a lot of points. You didn't simplify your fractions. So what number divides equally into -2 and -8? Yeah, 2 does. So we're going to divide by 2/2, and we end up with a -1/4. Notice that negative sign has to stay with the answer, because back here, when we subtracted, the larger looking number was negative. Go ahead and try letters F, G, and H on your own, and we will go over those in a little bit. Choose an operation, page 286. It says you can add or subtract like fractions to solve real-world problems. About 6 out of every 100 of the population of the United States lives in Florida. Another 4 out of 100 lives in Ohio. About what fraction more of the U.S. population lives in Florida than in Ohio? Well, when we look at this problem, it says about what fraction more of the U.S. population lives in Florida than in Ohio. If it asks how much more, is that indicating addition or subtraction? Well, when you want to know how much more, if you said you had 6 chocolate chip cookies and only 3 sugar cookies, then you would say, hey, I have 3 more chocolate chip than sugar. That would be a subtraction problem. Well, that's the same thing we're going to do here. Whenever you ask how much more, it is subtraction. So this problem should say 6/100 minus 4/100. And then we can do that subtraction problem by first lining it up vertically. making sure that that negative sign is down here, and subtracting 6 minus 4. Bigger looking number is positive, so it's going to be a positive 2 over 100. But again, because those two numbers are both even, we need to simplify by dividing by 2 over 2, which gives us 1 over 50 as our answer. So we could say that about 1/50 more of the US population lives in Florida than in Ohio. So about 1/50 more in FL than, I can't spell than, OH. Okay, go ahead and make sure you have all of those lettered problems done.